Now, the delay in the appointment of the resident electoral commissioners of the Independent National Electoral Commission in 11 states has raised concerns as the 2023 general election approaches. According to the report, the tenure of 11 out of the 37 resident electoral commissioners in the country came to an end on the 6th of July, while 9 others are due for retirement on the 11th of August. A top official of the commission noted that there is a cause to worry over the non-appointment of recs for some states barely 8 months to the general election, noting that it is the duty of the President Muhammadu Buhari, as the appointing officer, to announce their replacements, and the development has caused some apprehension in the affected states, as duties in these states are left in the hands of the administrative secretaries who act in the absence of the recs. Now, joining us now to discuss the development and how it could affect preparations for the 2023 general election is the Executive Director, Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Centre, Anwal Rafsanjani. I want to say thank you for joining us here on Newsday. Now, talking about these resident electoral commissioners, we still have 8 months to the general election. Is there any cause for alarm at this moment in time?
Thank you very much. Absolutely. We must be concerned, we must be worried with the slow pace in which government does business of governance. Ideally, if you have a government that has a plan, you should have a succession plan. A situation whereby important personnel, their tenure elapsed, and you still have not any move towards nominating their name so that the National Assembly, as required by the Constitution, confirm their nomination, it must be called for a worry. And this is what happens in all sectors of governance in Nigeria. Because of the inability of government official or the president to actually have a timely and speedy processes, a lot of things have drawn back in the country. One should have expected that by now, you already have lists that you could put before the National Assembly immediately the tenure of the outgoing or the former rec that their tenure had expired. You should have expected that by now, government should have sent their list to the National Assembly for confirmation, but that has not been done. But we should also remember that it is not every other person that is required to be in as a rec. The Constitution is very clear, and for us to be able to have free, fair, and credible election that will be acceptable to Nigerians, whoever the president will nominate must be of someone that is not partisan, somebody that is competent, somebody that is not linked with any political party, or someone that has no any link with the corruption. Because failure to do that, you will have mortgaged the confidence of Nigerians and the state where the rec are going to be. So it is important that we do not bring in politics into the nomination and the appointment or confirmation of the rec. Because if you do that, Nigerians will doubt the attempt to have free and fair as well as credible election. So it is important we also remember that. But the bottom line is that government is so slow, unnecessarily so slow on processes that require timely response. One should have expected that we should learn from the previous effort, because even in the past, the government did not send the nomination until civil society had to remind the government that these people tenure had expired and you have not replaced them. And that will have a repercussion and consequences for having a smooth electoral process in those states where this rec are supposed to be responsible for the management and coordination and providing leadership when it comes to electoral or election matters in those states. So we don't want chaos, and failure to do this timely appointment can create, concern, or are already creating concern, because all the other resident commissioners, they do meet, regularly at the National Secretariat, with the INEC chairman and other federal commissioners, to discuss how to, manage, how to deal, how to ensure that elections are conducted in the most transparent, in the most peaceful way. But if this REC, who are about 10 of them, are not part of this meeting, it means there will be lacuna, there will be gap in terms of having a broader understanding. Already we know that INEC had issued guidelines, had issued strategic plan on how to conduct the 2023 election. And if this REC are not part and parcel of all this conversation, all this discussion, all this understanding and working with other relevant electoral institutions in the country, it means that there are going to be gap, and we don't want this kind of gap to continue to exist in the electoral process in the country. And especially as many Nigerians are apprehended, are worried that if we did not do a very free, fair, credible, and transparent election this time around, then the country will continue to suffer the consequences of underdevelopment, the consequences of corruption, the consequences of, international alienation and marginalization, which the country currently suffers as a result of all these somersaulting policies that we are having. Already, from all indication, our economy had gone down. The exchange rate has gone too bad. The economic revitalization that government promised to do had already entered into coma. And you could see that as a result of all this lack of international, goodwill that this country officials have plunged us onto, we are not able to deal with even the insecurity. The insecurity is increasing by the day. Looting at will, with official, at the top of it, are increasing. All these are because we are not really, the country, the government is not proactive in terms of taking decisive policy decision that can deal and mitigate the kind of evil that some people in government are committing. So it is important that we do not also let the confidence of the electorate and their hope. Already Nigerians have been mobilized to go and have their PBC. Now, if the election is mortgaged by not having all the components that will make the election to be free, fair, credible, and acceptable to Nigerians, then really this government would have serious historical consequences of undermining and
please allow me
hope
to
for
interrupt you
Nigerians.
for a moment. Now, apart from the 11 states that are without resident electoral commissioners, we understand that the tenure of 8 other recs will also come to an end in August, meaning that more states are likely to join this list. Now, what can be done between now and that time to get their replacement, considering the fact that the Senate is also expected to go on recess in August?
Well, if the government is actually, very serious in terms of ensuring that gaps did not, exist. Like I said earlier on, by now, government should have already, selected competent, qualified, responsible Nigerians that can feed into this already 11 states and also the 8 states that their tenure is going to expire. So it's all about the fact that some people are not doing their work in government. Some people are just plotting on how to entrench, this culture of impunity and refusing to follow the due process. If you have people in government that are actually doing what they're supposed to do, by now they should have been able to provide nomination and send it to the National Assembly for the Senate to confirm. Now, regarding the Senate going on recess, there's no way, when we have this kind of lacuna, when we have this gap, when we have the need to ensure that we fill in, issues that is of national interest, that National Assembly will go on recess. They can call that recess, and I believe that, if the president is determined to ensure that this lacuna is closed, he would have just simply come up with the nomination that are qualified based on the laid down criteria in our constitution on who should actually be in the INEC rec, So the National Assembly can call up, its recess to come and consider Mr. President's nomination, because the Senate must confirm their nomination. That is the constitutional requirement. The Constitution is very clear. If you look at Section 154 of the Constitution, it shows that the screening of the nominated persons for, reg, it must be confirmed by the National Assembly and the Senate in particular. So it is important that the National Assembly also understand that there's a serious, important national assignment that they need to carry out while they are also on recess. But the bottom line is, what is the Mr. President and his team doing to ensure that we do not have this repeat of, crisis? This appears to me to be repeated, cases. Like I said previously, civil society, we have to, put pressure on the government to even, pull in the commissioners, even at the national level, when their tenure expired. So we cannot continue to have people in government that are not doing their job. It is not fair. They are collecting a lot of salary, a lot of allowances, they are enjoying government privileges, and yet they are not doing the work they are supposed to do, and Mr. President is keeping them. I think Mr. President himself and his lieutenant need to wake up with the remaining time they have in office to be able to save their integrity and save the perception that Nigerians are having that they are not competent. If they don't do things on timely basis, transparently, responsibly, it will be a very bad history in them.
Anwal, thank you for that. And it seems that civil society organizations are doing their job as being the watchdog for the politicians and the political process. But I want to talk to you about these next 7 months up until the elections in February. As you know, the situation in the country is quite tense. We have a lot of concurrent fires going on that the government has to attend to. And just as you said, the process of getting these recs elected, first the president nominates them and it goes to the Senate and the National Assembly. We do know that they're going on break in August. With knowing all of this information, is there a fear that lastminute.com politics will play and individuals who aren't quite as qualified as they should be might get pushed into these 11 vacant positions and we might not be able to do much about it? What do you have to say about the rushed nature of what will happen? Because they will appoint these RECs, but the rushed nature of it all, what are the consequences of that?
Well, first and foremost, if you have a proactive government, the proactive government will have a calendar of every institutions and personnel required to man that place. And they should also know when their tenure is supposed to end. And therefore, it is expected that those who are working with Mr. President, they should have been able to remind him, and even if it is just to suggest names to him for his approval, and then subsequent, forwarding those names to the National Assembly. So the challenges you have is that you have so many people over-enjoying in government, but not doing the work they are supposed to do. And in fact, as a matter of fact, because the president has not shown them the way out, that is why the impunity, the laxity, the relaxing, the lack of seriousness is going on in every sector in the country. Do you need to be told that the country is sick at all levels? Education sector, health sector, the economy, the financial system, the electoral system. You don't need to be told. So, but assuming that Mr. President is not aware, which is very, surprising to say that he is not aware that, the rec tenure, had come to an end, or some of them, their tenure is coming to an end. But he has assistants. Those assistants, it is their responsibility to remind Mr. President and make sure that also they did the process of screening, or rather, the process of recruiting competent, qualified, non-partisan, non-corruptible people, very competent and, as a matter of fact, people that are, patriotic to be filled in this position. So I expected by now they're supposed to have the list already available. But what we will resist and I want to say it very clearly, Nigerian civil society organization, transition monitoring group, all these other organizations that are working on election matters, we will resist any attempt to bring in a card-carrying member to be filled in as INEC commissioner. Because if you do that, you have already compromised the integrity of the election. And that is why the Constitution is very clear that you must not do that. But if in the attempt to rig the election or to manipulate the election or to shortchange Nigerians, some government official or some powerful people within the political party, the ruling party, smuggle names of people who are card-carrying members, we will raise concern. And we are advising seriously that that must not happen. If it happens, it will also have consequences, negative consequences on the integrity of the government and the president. So we have to do things rightly. National Assembly should examine and ensure that they did not become, rubber stamp. Nigerians, so many Nigerians have concern over the leadership of the Senate president, but we are reminding him that there's a consequences for continuing to allow things to go in any bad way that will not enhance and improve democratic system in the country. So it's not about blind loyalness. It is about to ensure that you help Mr. President by screening if those people that they will be eventually brought into the Senate, if some of them have not met the conditions, or they have corruption cases, or they have a damaging record of their service, or they are card-carrying members, you must not screen those people and pass them. You must do due diligence, or else you have betrayed the confidence that Nigerians have given you. Nigerians did not elect you just to go there and be a rubber stamp. You are supposed to scrutinize, you are supposed to checkmate, you are supposed to ensure that you help the president and the government that the right persons are actually confirmed as commissioners, and every other position that the Senate is doing confirmation. So between now and the period that we are going to have election, the National Assembly still has a responsibility and has the opportunity to actually right the perception that many Nigerians are having, as it is just a rubber stamp that is not productive, that is not really yielding to the yearning and aspiration of Nigerians, but yielding to the yearning and aspiration of the president in order to please him. But as far as we are concerned, that is not the kind of legislator Nigerians are looking for. They are looking for a legislator that will help support the government effort by ensuring that all those lapses and lacuna in government are pointed out, so that Mr. President will know that he has actually a competent legislature that is not just a rubber stamping, that it is not just approving anything that anybody brings, but you only help Mr. President by being due diligent, by being constructive, by being ensuring that you help to checkmate excesses, lapses that we are seeing in government. That is how you can be pride as a parent of the executive, not to just say everything is okay, like in the previous times, or rather in some of the speeches that the Senate president made mention. He said that anything that comes from the president he will endorse, but not knowing that you are actually undermining the president. You are not helping the president, because if you endorse wrong thing that the president may have brought through his aid, then you have not helped Mr. President, and you have not helped the electoral, you have not helped the system, you have not helped democracy, and you have not helped the Nigerian people. So as a legislator, as a legislators, you are responsible to ensure that you checkmate the excesses of government, ensure that all the processes in the government, including compliance of legislation, including following the law of the land, the constitution, all of it, it is your responsibility to ensure through your effective and responsible oversight you will do that. It is not about just blind loyalty. It is about ensuring that the country works as it is now today, because of the reckless decision taken in some of the instances by the National Assembly. The country is before we go, are in a miserable debt.
Permit me to just draw your attention to something now, because since we're speaking about INEC and the resident electoral commissioners, INEC right now are actually on the case of the National Assembly to pass the Electoral Offences Commission bill. As the civil society organization, how much pressure are you putting on the National Assembly to ensure that they pass this bill to curtail vote buying?
We are almost, I can tell you that we are almost sleeping in the National Assembly to ensure that all the issue that will improve electoral integrity, that will bring in more confidence, that will guarantee and consolidate democratic institutions in Nigeria and democratic practices. We are pursuing them, we are advocating, we are providing them with the necessary support. We are not noisemakers. We provide them with technical support. We lobby, we advocate, we provide them with necessary credible information to aid their work. So we are doing our best as civil society, but civil society is handicapped. We don't have the power to make this law. We can only help by providing technical support, providing credible information, providing also information, comparative, information from other parts of the world where they have succeeded in those kind of issue. So, and we've been doing that, and we're engaging individual members who are serious, because some of the members are not simply interested. It's unfortunate that, some of the members are collecting salary and allowances and privileges in the National Assembly without doing the needful that the Constitution brought them to do. So I think civil society will not get tired. We will continue to engage positively, responsibly.
Thank you so much for always coming to have great discussions with us here on Newsday. We hope to have you back soon.